it's very, very important for campaign material, including corflutes, including even as far as bumper stickers and even T-shirts, to have a campaign manager's phone number. I love to have any campaign material to have at the bottom of the campaign material, printed and supplied by the printer's name and the printer's suburb and the printer's phone number and his Christian name or his full name if he wants it there. That's always a great difficulty with party candidates, because party candidates like to produce everything from some secret printer somewhere that doesn't localize it. I like the local candidate to have a local printer, because the printer is a magic person. He knows within the federal seat all the wards of the council wards. He knows how many residences there are, how many letterboxes there are in each ward, because he's done it for council candidates. And he knows all the local businesses because he's a printer and the local businesses get their printing done with him. So he knows the guys and the girls that are on side with the freedom movement. What wraps him into the freedom movement is the basic mantra, which is Greens last, Labor second last, and Liberals third last. And included in that is the proposition that every candidate standing will, on their how to vote card, register the names of all their opposition, plus under the names of their opposition, the party names. The Greens are best at doing this because the Greens invariably have the best how to vote card in a campaign, because the Greens do nothing well except campaign, and the Labor Party absolutely does nothing well except campaign. And so they know the phone number is vital, even though the phone number doesn't get rung very often. What a phone number does for a person who's enrolling to help, and that's a person that approaches you in the street or approaches your campaign office or approaches you through the web or is given you by the party that you're representing as a possible helper. So those people are possible helpers because, and this has to be borne very strongly in mind, any person that you encounter that wants to help you, whether they're asking or you're asking them, and they agree, is a person who wants to multiply their own personal vote. A person goes to a campaign room offering to help because they've got a vote and they're hoping to emulate that vote in multiples by assisting a person who knows how to win votes, which is the campaign. So having a phone number is so vital. And at the same time, always remembering, everyone knows what ABC means, always be closing. For us, we've got to have ABR, always be recruiting. So any person that asks a question is actually a volunteer, because they're asking a question to see if you are part of their own personal program to multiply their own vote. They want to vote who they want to vote for, and they want others to vote who they want to vote for as well. And that's why they've come to you. That's why you've encountered them. That's why they've approached you. And so getting a name tag, Lisa Curry candidate for Fairfax is not a bad idea. Having a phone number on it, I'd love to see, but that's not practical. It's the only place it's not practical to have a phone number. So when someone meets you and wants to know you and they haven't got time, you can say, take a photo of me, and your phone number's there. That's why I love the prospect. Yeah, QR codes. It's important with a QR code, in my head, to have on top of it not a government QR code.
Yeah.
I never knew what a QR code was, actually, until a week ago, when I'm going to tell you this brief story. I was meeting a very important campaign manager. I consider him the other half of me, actually. He's been running campaigns for 30 years for various people, and he's never used a street rep system. He's a great statistician, which you obviously are, who just spoke to me. Not a statistician, it's just a strategic person, a strategic analyst. The strategy of the QR code was, he's interrupting our meeting a little bit. All he is, the owner of the coffee shop. And I go, you can join us if you want. He said, I'm very fascinated by what you're talking about. I said, yeah, okay. What's your name? I said, actually, what's your mobile number first? And I wrote his mobile number in my phone. And then I said, your name. And while we're here, your email address. I put his email address in my phone. I said, I'll send you a link And we carried on, and he comes back and he interrupts us and he says, "You can put your QR code up here on my wall." And I said, "Okay, we've now done the draft. Has anyone seen that draft of the QR code for a shop front?"
No, not for a shop front.
You'll all get it soon. It's for a shop front. It's an A4 size. Can only be A4 because it's for printing purposes. People don't have manila or whatever it's called, foolscap paper. They only have A4 paper. And it says, not a government QR code. It's a freedom code. The QR code's there. And then at the bottom, it's got something else, which is pretty good. It's also got a phone number on the bottom of it. Then I said to him, "What about a menu? Can you do it? We'll do a menu with a QR code. And that QR code, people can photograph the menu with your name and shop on it. And you're now a freedom location for freedom people to meet." And he said, "Absolutely fabulous. I'll do that. I'll have a special QR code photo with my menu so people can take the photo of it." I didn't know what it was because a week before my brother held up a QR code and I took a photo of it, and then I put my phone on it and the little dot came up, the Safari, and I touched the Safari button and up came the link. I thought, wow, our QR code's magic. So now all our stationery's getting QR codes on it. The how to vote, the offer to help form, which is what I want to talk to you about next. If anyone thinks I've bypassed something I was discussing that I didn't repeat or didn't say properly, interrupt me and I'll go back to it. But jumping onto the QR code, that is the most magic thing to have on the freedom shops, not only coffee shops, but the hairdresser, the barber, the cigarette shop, anything that's a self-employed business can have that. It's a two-sided laminated A4. When you laminate a two-sided piece of paper, always have two bits of paper, one on each side so it doesn't show through. So you've got, when you laminate it with the QR code sheet on both sides so that it doesn't show, so it's easier to see on both sides, because shop windows have got people inside the shop and people outside the shop. And I see this QR code for shop fronts with a freedom link. And we've now designed a new freedom link, which is a very brief freedom link. It's just a street recruitment. It doesn't confuse people with a mass of questions. After they're recruited as a street rep, it's now got another place down the bottom after they hit the win button, which is when they hit the win button, the candidate and whoever the candidate nominates gets an email. It could be the campaign manager, plus if they've filled out the second part of the win system, they might say they're going to be a fundraiser, or they might say they're going to be a booth worker. So that email can then go to the person in charge of the booths, person in charge of the fundraising. If they say they want to have an event, that goes to the diary events manager. So all these different people come to light. Where they come to light from is the street rep, which we'll get back to. The street rep is a person who's recruited primarily to deliver letterboxes to their street. 65% of street reps will ask to deliver more. They'll ask to do more jobs. They'll often suggest the job they want to do. Can I door knock my street? There is a document for everything. I've got a street rep document which explains how to street rep door knocks. And then it says, don't door knock, because we're not door knocking except business houses now with a QR code. And it explains how we do door knock a street. It says you always have your clipboard in the car with your message and your offer to help forms. And your message at the first instance is your how to vote card. Your how to vote card is an interim how to vote card. It shows your candidate number one at the top. It shows spaces, which says these people haven't nominated yet because the election hasn't been called. At the bottom, it's got Greens last, Labor second last. If you're in a seat with a National and not a Liberal, National third last. And the plan is to have a how to vote card produced. And what you do is you get a previous how to vote card that was produced by whichever party you're standing for, and you make it a bit like that. You've got to have an authorisation person on it. Your authorisation person is vital. Your authorization person should never be the candidate because you lose that extra phone number. I love an authorization person to have name. They've got to have an address. They've got to have, they don't have to have a phone number. I want a phone number because I want any person that wants to improve on that document or have their own ad on the back of that document or offer to help or make a suggestion. I want them to have easy access. They may never ring that number, but the fact that it's there means that the person who wrote that is authorized in the document is available. That's got to always be on the bottom line. So the second bottom line is the printer. The third bottom line is the candidate, not the candidate, is the candidate's campaign manager. Now, if the candidate's campaign manager hasn't got a specialized phone for that, that's okay. He can put the phone number of somebody, perhaps an infirm person who's still got a good mind, who can answer the questions that a campaign manager gets asked. And the campaign manager gets asked about policy. If a person's taking that call, whoever answers that call on that document, the phone number that's on that document, person asks about policy, they say, yes, thank you, your name and your number is, I'll refer you to the person who's taking inboard policy suggestions on board. And if you can be part of that, you can submit your policy there, where it will be put onto a notice paper where it will be discussed and other people who want to be involved with that policy can be involved. If the person asks, look, I want to help, excellent. We've got a function task organizer. I'll put you in touch with that person. If they say they want to have a fundraiser, they go to the fundraiser person. If they say they want to organize an event, excellent. Or they've got a place for the campaign candidate to attend, we'll put you in touch with our diary and our diary keeper and our events manager. If they get anything else that comes up, really the campaign person who's answering the campaign manager's phone can handle it. You'll be one of the rare people, candidates standing that people can access by phone. And few people access you by phone, but the ones that do are very valuable because they're immediate recruits. And the people who don't contact you but go straight to the app or go straight or to make themselves into a volunteer, they know they're on the right team because they know the team they're joining is accessible. Yes, I was on door knocking and then I was on the alternative to door knocking. Okay. The alternative to door knocking is you always have your draft or interim how to vote card with you. You always have your offer to help form, which now will have the QR code on it. And the QR code will always be displayed, not a government QR code, because people like me never used QR codes before in their life until they realized it's not a government QR code. It's a link to a map that's for freedom. So what you do in the street rep does in the street, they get taught with a written message. You always have your whatever literature you've got for the party you represent. You always have your offer to help form. Hopefully you've always got your interim how to vote card. And as you're walking down the street, walking your dog or bringing in your garbage bin or just going for a lovely walk, people are leaving and arriving at home. If you want to say these words, which I've tested, hi, I'm door knocking the street, but I'm not avoid the word but, I'm door knocking the street and I'm not knocking on houses, on doors. They've barred the Jehovah's Witness for knocking on doors because of the COVID, so I'm not knocking on doors, I'm knocking in the street. If you'd like to talk to me, what I've got here is some information about a candidate I'm supporting, a Freedom candidate, and the main proviso of this Freedom candidate is they're Greens last, Labor second last, and Liberals third last for Freedom. They're a candidate that's standing to restore our freedoms and to restore the preservation of C people. A C person is a self-employed employer. Our whole nation is based upon self-employed employers and the preservation of their employees. And we know now that so many self-employed employers are still in business because they don't want to disadvantage their employees. They're hoping for better times so that we can keep our employees employed. And the better times will be when we get Freedom candidates in the parliament where we can have influence on the laws, where we can make the laws and we can disband the laws that are bad. Now, if you're interested in this, The rule is you never pass anybody something till their hand comes out. So if I've got the document in my hand and I'm holding it and I'm saying, I'm holding it down a bit, I'm not presenting it until the hand comes out for it. Whenever you're in the street handing something out or collecting something, you don't pass it over until the hand comes out for it. So you're not forcing yourself on anyone. And they say, you say, I've got an offer to help form. If you'd like to help in some way, I can give that to you. You don't have to fill it out. You can QR code it. It's not a government QR code. It's a Freedom QR code, which gives you a link to our campaign structure. If you'd like that, I can give it to you. And you wait for the hand to come out. If the hand doesn't come out, you just carry on. The other thing is, since I'm not door knocking, you will know some people in the, I live down there. I'm in number 14. You identify yourself. I'm there. I think we've seen each other if you have. And you say, if you've got people in the street, I can give you a couple of these extra forms since I'm not door knocking. But unless I know the person. Now, if you visit someone's house for coffee or tea or afternoon lunch, then you can take it to them and you can say, this is an offer to help the Freedom Party.
So how do you connect with them if you're not allowed to go and knock on the door?
They're arriving home.
Right.
They're taking their garbage bin out or in.
Right.
Very important on garbage bin. After the garbage bins are gone, you go for the walk down the street because people take the garbage bins in at random times. A neighbour pulling up, walking your dog if you've got a dog. Dogs like to talk to each other. People with nice dogs like to get spoken to, and they like to speak. And people who love dogs like to speak to the dog. It's an opportunity then. I'm door knocking, but I am not door knocking doors. I'm door knocking neighbours.
Mhm.
And if you've got a neighbour, and after you've done the spill, which is written out, it's written, everything's written, and it's a study exercise, and it's simply a matter of asking for the particular piece of document you get and then sharing it amongst your people. Always remembering in mind, always be recruiting. And every person that gets stuck into it in a big way should endeavour perhaps to have an auxiliary phone or an auxiliary email. My auxiliary email is james4freedom@protonmail. The candidates like Proton Mail because it's not connected to the massive consumption of information like Yahoo and Hotmail and Gmail are. So they're sort of switching to Proton Mail. In the street walk, some neighbours you already know and you've already door knocked and you've already been in for coffee. What happens with a street rep is they develop an attitude that they wanted to have all their life, which was meet the neighbours, and they never really got round to it. So they begin to, the street rep naturally begins to, once they're recruited and they're delivering to the letterbox, and all the street rep is recruited to do is to deliver to the letterboxes. You get delivered to, we find out how you like the delivery. It comes in a plastic bag. Everyone should save plastic bags. Never throw a empty plastic bag out. Always save all your plastic bags. Gets delivered in a plastic bag. There's a couple of extra ones in there. If there's 24 houses in the street, you deliver 28. So the person who's the street rep can take it to their workplace, can take it to their church, can take it to their club meeting, can take it to as a spectator. If they're watching the cricket, they can take it to the spectator cricket place. The people that they always talk to, they know feel the same way. You give them the offer to help form at the cricket match, and you say if you know someone in the street that feels the same way you do, you could just take it to them, and then if they want me to meet me, they can ring me up. I'll come down and say hi to them. The street rep eventually says, "Can I door knock?" And that's how you describe that. We give them the door knock sheet, how to door knock. Then we say, "Don't door knock." Then we say, "Use the door knock instructions as though you just door knocked the person when you met them in the street." The street rep starts to talk over the fence, starts to know the neighbour's verge, starts to bring the neighbour's bin in a bit, starts to carry the extra poo bag to pick up all the other dogs' poo in the street, and becomes neighbourly. And as the street rep becomes neighbourly, they want to meet their street reps. They're starting to feel an essence of self-gratitude to themselves because they're making a difference. And it renders them. And they've got to know more people, and they've got to be on the winning side because they only joined in the first instance to replicate their own vote, to make people know about the power of their vote. And then they're suddenly realising they've got power of their vote. and they exercise the power of their vote by meeting their neighbours and winning their neighbours over. The street rep's task also is to record when they get home, never in front of anybody, the asset, the person they meet. They might be, if they meet a really strict, I'm a Labor voter, I've always been a Labor voter. That's okay, good to meet you, look, I won't waste your time. And they're recorded as a Labor voter for later attack, for later, not attack, it's the wrong word for me to say, for later instigation of freedom.
Engagement.
Engagement, that's the beautiful word. I love this, man. Engagement, yeah. So if they're a swinger, very importantly, I don't touch political material. Well, it's actually freedom campaign material. We're avoiding calling it political material. We're calling it freedom campaign material. I don't touch politics. Oh, excellent. Okay. If you want to have a look at this is what we're doing. We're going Greens last, Labor second last, Liberals third last, because we're only interested in freedom. And we want to make sure that no one's in the parliament that isn't interested in freedom. Actually, the person that we want to put into parliament is we want a person that's representing their constituents, the people that vote for them, not representing their party, representing the people that vote for them. And the beautiful thing about a street rep system is you've got an on-tap poll system for how people are voting. You've got an on-tap poll system for what policy people want. You've got an untapped poll system for what people want to do to help. So it's a magic thing. The street rep is the most magic person, because I've recruited a street rep and I've had them become the mayor of the city back in 75. That never had a Liberal mayor and never had a Liberal mayor since. The seat was called Fairfield. The mayor her name was Maria Heggie. She was an Australian-born Italian. She married a Pommy called Heggie, and she became the mayor of Fairfield from a street rep. So the street rep, and in the street rep you'll find former booth captains for Pauline Hanson, for Family First, for the Liberal Democratic Party, and you'll find former booth workers for them. You'll find people that used to walk miles through the whole suburb delivering into letterboxes. And they'll come out and they say, wow, something's happening. I can join this. I can be a winner. My vote's going to be multiplied. They think, they never say it, because it's a secret to themselves why they joined. That's why they joined. They joined not just because they like the guy or the guy that's standing. They joined because they want their own vote multiplied. And you're giving them the tools to multiply their vote. Okay. The street rep's a powerful person. They're the salt of freedom in Australia. And you'll find self-employed men there and women there that went out of business and they cried when they had to sack their employees, like, oh, I'm crying now. That's what they did. Questions?
I was just wondering, I'm just thinking that the street rep system has multiple channels to it. So it has the street, meaning your entire system. So it has the person that looks after maybe 30 houses in their area,
or five.
Creates
or five.
Okay.
You can go to two if there's a cul-de-sac with two houses in it. What you do then, what happens if you have only got two houses and you haven't got a street rep there? You can still solve the problem. But I love 5 houses street reps. Come on, okay. Carry on.
And then, so they're creating a sense of community, which is fantastic because it's uplifting and it changes the feel. But then you've also got the impact on businesses, talking to businesses with the street rep system and having the freedom QR code there.
This QR code freedom thing is a perfect way then to recruit that person for a street rep for their own street. Some of the best street reps are the busy people. The busy people are the people that can do things. And a self-employed tradie, a business person that's got a shop, that's a self-employed shop, they're ideal to recruit as a street rep. And they also have all their customers, they have all their suppliers, and they have all their adjuncts. An adjunct is a person, if you're a single resident, has adjuncts. Their adjuncts are the dog walker, the dog washer, the vet, the hedge trimmer, the lawnmower, the pool cleaner, the window washer, the carpet cleaner. They're their adjuncts, their lawyer, their accountant. They have lists of all these people by mobile or by email. If they're in business, they've got all their suppliers and all their customers, and they've got all their adjuncts as well. So the multiplication of what comes from a street rep is absolutely phenomenal. The other thing I wanted to say about the street rep, as a flow on from what you've just said, is the street rep ideally becomes the neighbourhood watch coordinator for the street, because neighbourhood watch no longer exists. Once upon a time, neighbourhood watch signs were up everywhere. They're all gone. They've abandoned the system. They've abandoned the system because some street coordinators were over the top a bit. Some were a bit off. And so the street rep neighbourhood watch system was abandoned. Interestingly, Lady Cilento Hospital ceased their street rep collection mechanism when they changed the name. When they changed the name, I was a street rep in a huge street that had the most amazing steep driveways, and I wore my wheelchair tyres out going up and down these steep driveways coming down. And I was a street rep for the Lady Cilento Hospital. When they changed the name, I didn't feel inclined to remain the street rep, for instance. We've got a how to vote card that's honest and ethical and for freedom. We've got Greens last, Labor second last, and Liberals or National third last. We've got a how to vote card that draws old people like me back in. And you draw those 24% of those people back in, plus their descendants, you're a winner. And so that idea of getting the street rep to become the neighbourhood watch person, it's the perfect reason for every person in the street to have everyone else's phone number. Often in the street that I'm in, there's little dogs running out. There's little children running out. And I go, because I'm walking down the street, I'm doing my run down the street in my wheelchair, and I see, this kid, I stay way back and I watch the kid to see if an adult will come out. And then if there's a pup on the street, I try and approach the pup to catch the pup. And then I hold the pup. There's one house I go to where every fourth time I go down the street, the girl runs out, the dog comes to me, and the girl runs to hold the dog, because the dog's got out and won't come back to her. And I hold the dog, she runs over, picks up the dog, says thanks, and runs off with the dog. But if you've got a street, it'll build into a neighbourhood watch situation where the street rep may or may not decide to become a neighbourhood watch person. So if there's a suspicious person in the street can be alerted with a text, bang, car has been prowling, we don't know who he is. That can take place as an adjunct way down the track a little bit, but it might develop more early. We'll find out who was the old neighbourhood watch street rep in the street, and that person may say, I want to be a street rep, and we'll say, okay, we've got one. Can you be a briefer? Can you deliver to 5 other street reps? So you go to the collection point and pick up, you can want to deliver to more. Okay, we might halve that because we only like a street rep to deliver to 5 people, a street rep briefer to deliver to 5 street reps. But you can start off with 10 and we might halve that off you. Street reps, once they become often say, I can do more, I'll do more streets. We go, no, can you deliver to other street reps as well? Become a briefer, deliver to your own street and 5 other street reps. That starts the distribution system. I've never broached with anybody in this campaign structure what to do, how you deliver and what you deliver and the system of doing it. You're the first person that's asked me. Congratulations. And I haven't done it yet because no one's asked me. I have got it written in we've got an old document that's being rewritten at the moment, which is 130 pages on how to conduct a campaign. We're inserting the new stuff and that will be finished shortly. I'll give you a very brief rundown of it. The ideal situation is a federal seat is divided by the council wards or divisions within that seat. And those wards are the distribution delivery points. Someone in that ward, hopefully the former council candidate who's standing, who is the leader of that ward, who's standing in the next council election, who is a freedom person, Greens last, Labor second last, Liberals third last, preservation of small business, people against the imposter big business and big government. That person hopefully has got a double garage or a shed, work shed, or even a temporary marquee in the backyard or something, a couple of big double rooms, their ballroom if they've got a big house, or the underneath part of the house, which becomes the distribution magnet point. Where's my man with the names? It comes the distribution point. And at that distribution point on the walls is the big main map of the federal seat. And that's can be written on with texter. As you get the street reps, you mark them off. Also on that wall are the ward maps of all the wards that are incorporated within the federal seat. Also on those walls are the state seats of all the state seats that are incorporated within that federal seat. And they all get marked off. If you are a collaboration street rep system, where you are combining with other freedom parties for the street rep system, where the street reps recruited to deliver to other candidates as well, which I recommend, but it's not steadfast, because some candidates of some parties may insist on being exclusive. If they don't insist on being exclusive, it's better for them in the long run, because the best candidate out of the 5 will win. It's a bit like an American primary. The best candidate will win, and it doesn't matter which the best candidate who wins is, because the best candidate will win. And it's better to have one candidate winning than no one winning. And by the collaboration of all the candidates having that same distribution system, the credibility of a street rep delivering for 4 or 5 other freedom candidates is enormous, because you're not there with a vested interest for one candidate, you're there with a vested interest for freedom. And that vested interest for freedom will shine on the street rep that you're door knocked in the street, or you've door knocked because a neighbour has recommended go see that person. Most streets are really, except for the long ones, which will divide up, most streets are really about the 8 to 15 range, depending upon where it is. The main roads are a drama, because we've got to get lots of different street reps in the different blocks, because we want to limit the people to 30 a house max. So the idea then is this distribution centre, but big bags of plastic bags, the counters, which are basically possibly the infirm who can't walk, who are in wheelchairs or don't walk far, they come and they see, and each street rep has a manila folder. It's a manual system. You can't computerize it. It's a manual system, because when the street rep is getting their material put into a bag, the original goes into that folder with a note on the inside of the manila folder, what number that is, and on that piece of material that's being delivered goes A, and the description of what it is and the date it's delivered to. And then those brochures or pamphlets or leaflets or how to vote cards or offer to help forms are counted into the plastic bags by the people in the distribution centre. And if if one street rep is delivering to 5 street reps plus their own street, that will go into a bag with 6 lots in it. The street rep's lot and the other 5 street reps the street rep is delivering to, and they'll be labelled with a white piece of paper inside the plastic bag what street rep they're being delivered to. So you can see the work process of winning an election is profoundly complicated. However, it's not complicated, because I've done it time and time again. Because you know where you get the street reps, where you get the volunteers to come to the distribution centre, the street reps find them for you. And the street reps who ask you to do more, can you spend time at the distribution centre working out where this distribution's going? And that brings people together. The same sort of thing action feels for these people who are together in a distribution system that are felt by the people who go to the rally. The people that go to the rally get excited, the Freedom Rally, they get excited, they get torn with joy that they're part of a movement that feels like success, and they're devastated when they leave and their shoulders sag and their jaw drops and their tongue falls to the bottom of their mouth, and they feel depressed because we've been to the rally, we're only going to get excited when we get back to the rally. If they were given a function and a repetitive task that they can get better at, they'd be elated. They'd know they're part of a winning team. They know their vote's going to be duplicated because they're a street rep. And they leave the rally with joy, and they're going to come back to the next rally to make sure the person next to them has filled the app out. It's got a street rep form with a QR code on it. And everyone that goes to a freedom rally, the street reps will be the main people going, because they're going to want to extend the power of their own vote. That's how the distribution system works. It's the first time I've said it. I appreciate you asking me. I'm honoured by asking me.
We've got about 105,000 electors in
Yep.
our electorate.
2,000 street reps.
That was the question. How many do I need? How many street reps do we need? 2,000.
2,000.
So apparently we've got about
2,000 street reps will give you 1,300 booth workers if you want them, and you do want them, because you've got 2 weeks of polling booth, a pre-poll to guard. You've got 6 days a week, 6 a.m., 8 a.m. Well, actually 6 a.m. because you've got to guard your spot. 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. 2 days of those weeks, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. pre-poll. 12 days of pre-poll. Then you got the polling booths. You've got 32 polling booths, which means you've got 32 booth captains. You've got 32 people who help set the booth captain up. You've got possibly you need about 30 or 40 people who will drive infirm people to the polling booth. You've got people who are unvaxxed, who will not be able to enter the polling booth, who will need a vaxxed person to go into the polling booth to come out with an electoral officer for them to vote outside. So you've got to, yeah, that's what I've been told they'll do. It's not confirmed yet, but you've got to be prepared for it. You've also got to have a person in each polling booth who is an exit poll person. When you win, you've got to make sure you stay one. The very best way of recruiting ever for an election is at the exit. The person that comes out and says, oh gosh, I hope you win. Oh, my thoughts are with you. I've got to make sure my mother's voted. I've got to make sure that she's going to vote. That person who congratulates you and hopes you win, you say, hey, look, we'll get you recruited for the next campaign. There's a QR code on this offer to help form. Register yourself now before you leave. And then you say, could you give me an indication how you voted preference-wise? Have you got any preference with how you vote? Is there anything that we could gain from you, knowledge on how we should do a how to vote card in the future? What you do is this. You carry on, you're the campaign manager. You've got to let me know if there's anything that restricts anything that you do. I know this. You cannot issue a policy statement without approval. You cannot talk to the media without prior knowledge being given to somebody that you're going to talk to the media. I know this. You cannot write a speech without the speech is written for you. That's all okay. You're not doing any of that. What you're doing is hopefully producing an interim how to vote card, which should have an authorisations person name on it. Just pick a dear old friend and put their name and address and phone number on it. Authorised by, it doesn't really have to be authorised at this stage because it's not an official document, because it's called an interim. You don't even really need an authorisation person on it. The only reason you put an authorisation person on it is because you're doing it as a draft, as a pilot. You choose the ward of the councillor who you knew, the wannabe councillor who you knew who stood, who you know is on your side. And you approach that candidate face to face and you say to that candidate, I want you in the council election in 2024. I want to appoint you as distribution centre for the council, for the federal campaign we're conducting. I want you to be the first person that we do a pilot in for our street rep recruitment. The way we're going to do our street rep recruitment is this. I want to produce a interim how to vote card, which shows Greens last, Labor second last, and Liberals third last. Our candidate number one, an explanation the other candidates aren't chosen yet. It won't happen until election day, until election's called. And we want to distribute this with our offer to help form to every street in your electorate, in your ward. And then you locate your members in that ward and you contact by phone. I want to do a delivery in your street. your computer genius there, man, will already know how many residents there are in each street. Jumping back, I'll come back to that. It's very important you locate the electoral rolls for the federal previous election. The electoral rolls, which are electronic, for the previous state election of the encompassing state seats and the various council wards within that federal seat that you're standing in. You can start off just with your federal award, which you should be able to be given to you immediately for no other reason other than your computer genius wants to establish the database. It's the commencement of the database, and the first things you combine it with are the yellow pages, which is purchasable, and the white pages, which is purchasable. So then you've got the phone number of every elector, if they've got a home phone number, bearing in mind that those phone numbers are basically obsolete because they're basically used for the internet. The people you really want to contact, though, those phone numbers will work because they're old Pauline Hanson people. And they haven't got a mobile phone, a lot of them still, and a lot of them don't have the internet. About another point, an enormous amount of people, considering the population we are, don't use the internet, don't have mobile phones, or if they have mobile phones, don't use the internet on them. They're the people you access with a street rep that you fail other ways. So coming back to the ward, if you've got a ward person who's a member, you ring them and you say, I've got a delivery for your street. It's only 32 people. Will you deliver to your street for me? I'll drop it off. Where do you want it dropped off? Oh, you want it dropped off on your letterbox, in your letterbox, or on the front door if you've got a dog. It'll be on a plastic bag on your front door. It might come late at night. When you get it, it's a letterbox job. Don't door knock it, just letterbox it for me. In letterboxing a piece of paper, don't crease it. Roll it over. So when it's in the letterbox, it comes out unfolded, easy. The first time you do it, you might not have time to do what I really want, which is I want on the bottom, above the authorization name, I want printed and supplied by a local printer and his name and his phone number. On the flip side, I want 6 ads, the printer's ad, and the printer will give you the other 5 ads you want on there. The other 5 ads are local businesses, preferably not franchised businesses, but they can be an LGA. They can be a Mitre 10 because they're franchises and they're still self-employed employers. But preferably your restaurant that home delivers, maybe an accountant, a real estate agent, because real estate agents have got massive lists. An accountant has a massive list. You choose a business, if you can, on the back, and the person that tells you those other 5 advertisers is the printer, because he does business with people, and people go into your shop and say, how can I stay in business? And he says, get this candidate elected. This candidate's a freedom elector. This candidate's going to be part of the 25 federal new MPs who are going to take the balance of power or take government. There's still a handful of people in the National Party. There's still a handful of people in the Liberal Party that will cross over and join you. They're the awake people, not the dead woke people. The gentleman asked me about how we do it with the difficulty of management. My suggestion is that everybody flies into the first ward you choose. You've got to find a candidate in council that's going to stand again as your rep in that area, because he's an experienced campaigner, or she, and she's got a campaign structure already. And you can then choose your members out of that particular ward. And because of the difficulty of emailing, and emails are so easily sent on, my suggestion is you do the pilot by phone. You ring your member who's in that ward, you get a council ward map urgently, you put the council ward map on your wall, and then you get your computer man to sort the members that you've got into streets. You then go to the first street. It's best to do a street in systems. Don't do streets all over the place random. Choose a little area. Often in suburbs, little areas are locked off. You choose a little area, it might have 8 or 9 streets in it, and you do that first. And you ring up the person, you say, hi, I'm your campaign manager for our candidate, for our party, for our freedom movement and you say, you live in that street, there's 18 houses in that street. Can someone drop off to you 20 brochures to deliver to that street? We'll be able to do it in the next couple of days. And you recruit the street rep yourself there and then. You're only recruiting for one simple task, deliver to your street. They don't even have to know they're going to be registered the street rep and going to do it every time yet. It's a one-off. And they say, oh, it's only 5 houses. Yeah, it's important that you do it because we want to know that the Labor Party aren't following us around taking them out. And if you can do that, just the 5 houses, that'd be great. We've only got to make one drop off. The guy can't get bitten by the dogs in the street. He just drops it off to one place and you on deliver it for us. Often a 5-person piece will say, oh, it's only 5 houses. I don't want to do it. And I go, please, 5 houses is important. When you get a 5-house street rep, you got 5 houses and you win them all. Very rarely do we not win them all because they're neighbourly, and you win one neighbour and that other neighbour talks to that neighbour, and the one that's undecided is suddenly not undecided anymore because all the neighbours are doing it. They feel collaboration. Avoid the word collective. They feel the collaboration because it's voluntary. The beautiful thing about collaboration is it's voluntary and collective is compulsory. So to answer your question, yes, you can do that, but let's do the pilot first with a council ward. Each one of you should do your own council ward. And the way to find them quickly is just Google which ward you're in yourself. You probably remember the council candidates that stood. Probably the one they wanted to win didn't, because a Green won it, or a Socialist won it, or a destructive person won it who wants to stop. He wants to have free libraries for everybody and increase the rates, or wants to have free something else for everybody and wants to increase the rates. There's nothing to do with council. Or wants to have a development take place where the roads are so narrow that people can't walk down them because they're getting some kind of a sling somewhere or something. That the right person, chances are, didn't win it, because the socialists know how to conduct a campaign and the free people don't. The reason the free people don't know how to conduct a campaign is because the free person doesn't want to control the lives of others and a socialist does. And now we're stepping up because we've got to control the parliament to stop controlling our lives. And the reason that the slavery people have gained control of the parliaments is because free people don't want to control the lives of others. It's now decent people are coming out of the woodwork, and we've got to capture them and teach them how to win against the slavers. I'm happy to help with it. If anyone wants any individual training about it, I've also got it written out. And what I haven't got written out, I can write out. I've now got a computer. I wrote the 10,000 word document, Value Your Vote, on my phone with my thumb, because every candidate must always know a coach is always required. Never fall into the candidate trap of thinking, I'm a boxer, I don't need a coach. I'm a golfer, I don't need a coach. I'm a tennis player, I don't need a coach. Never fall into the trap. No. And every campaign manager has to be aware about it for the people that they're campaign manager for. Always be aware that the candidate may need coaching, and never be ashamed to give them the coaching silently when you're alone. Okay, the next important person you need is a researcher. A researcher goes into Google, finds out who stood in the council ward you're in. Okay, did the person who get elected, were you happy with their election, or did you want someone else to get elected?
I wanted someone else to get elected.
That's the person I contact, or your campaign manager contacts, or your researcher contacts, or your public relations media person contacts. If you haven't got a public relations media person yet, you will get one. They'll come to you. Everyone in the world will come to you once your street rep system starts. Be not concerned about it. It's a given. So Brett is happy to contact the previous candidate. You should look at the election results of the previous candidate. And if possible, to obtain their how to vote card. You've got to know about the personal ideology. Nothing describes the personal ideology of any candidate in the short term better than their how to vote card. The how to vote card is the map of the person's side. Mm-hmm. So if you know the candidate that you wanted to win, you know the candidate's phone number, you know the candidate's election results from the last election, you've got a pretty good idea then of the campaign structure that they had. You've got a pretty good idea they're going to stand again. if they're going to stand again, no candidate that's a Freedom candidate will refuse to be the ward captain, to run the campaign for you as that ward captain, organising the distribution to the street reps and the street reps. The street reps you start off with, of course, are their current campaign street reps. You top it off with their current campaign street reps. Every candidate has got people that delivered to their street, but they didn't deliver individually to the street. They usually delivered to about a third of the electorate or a quarter of the electorate, unless they paid someone to deliver it. So if they didn't pay someone to deliver it, they had their kids out at night doing it, or they had some mad walkers. In the days before computers, I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go to the walking path in the electorate that I was in, where the mad walkers were, the lunatics that get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and walk for 10 miles. And I'd stop them on their walk, and I'd say, have a look at this. And they'd say, what is? I said, it's a campaign document for a person that I want to get into Parliament. And they go, what's it got to do with me? Oh, well, you're walking, see if you like it. Yeah, I like it. Well, you walk the letterboxes for me instead. That way you're going to get extra movement. You're going to be bending over. You're going to be moving around. Every other muscles in your body's going to be moving that wasn't moving before, and you're going to be fighting for freedom, and you're going to feel good about doing it. So I'd get the mass done by these walkers that walk the streets at night, in the morning and at night and every other time in the world. And they're not hard to pick. They've usually got earphones in. They usually got a band around their head. They've got wristbands on. They've got runners on, and you can't catch them. So that's the job you do. You've got to get your ward first organised. You've got to get the person to ring that councillor and recruit them. Then, meanwhile, your computer man is sorting out your computer lists of the members, and you let your candidate recruit their people for the street first. The streets they're missing, and they know they've got 30 or 40 people that helped them in their campaign. They've got the crew from the bowls club, or they've got the crew from the croquet club, or they've even got maybe the crew from the pistol club or the archery club or whatever, or the chess club. I'm a chess champion if anyone needs teaching. And they're in a street. They're the automatic street rep. And so they can deliver to their own street reps. They can just, if you package up what has to be delivered and they've got 15 street reps, you just deliver the 15 packages already laid up, and the plastic bag comes in very clearly, street rep name, phone number, address, leave, and that goes in the plastic bag on top of the other stuff. So it can be read easily through the plastic bag. And he gets to 30 delivered to him, and he delivers to the 30. He can recruit him as she or the councillor can deliver as she delivers it. On your map, the council ward map in your garage, you see what streets haven't been done, and they're the streets that you ring with your computer man telling you who your member is in that street. And when you ring them up, you go, hi, I'm in the campaign. There's 16 houses in your street. Can we drop a parcel off to you for you to deliver to your street, to letterbox your street for us? Bang, there's a street rep like that. When I was doing street reps, sometimes on the phone, no computers, I had 3 people looking up phone numbers for me. I had 5 people on the phone, keeping me on the phone recruiting street reps. So you can do it real easy now, because you've got the computer man giving you the name and phone number. You've got the computer man giving you who lives in number 18. Oh, they're a member, I'll ring them. And you've got their mobile number as well, because mobile phones, I haven't looked into white pages for years, but I don't know if they still even exist. I expect they do. But I know the yellow pages has got all the small business people's mobile numbers in it. So you got the mobile number off the yellow pages, but you've got the members. You've got 1,000 members. And you know what? When I recruit a street rep in the old days, this is me. Oh, hello. Yeah, I've got you as a street rep. Have you got your teledex there? Yeah, go get it. Okay, now let's go through your teledex. Who's local to you, who feels the same way about life as you. Just call me out the names. Okay, what street are they? They're around the corner, and they feel about life like you do. They really want to get rid of Gough Whitlam. They want to stop the 4,000 people going bankrupt, the builders. Yep, they want to stop the interest rates to buy a used car from 9% to 17%. Okay, all right, give me, what's their name? And what's their phone number? What street are they in? Okay, Next, sometimes I got 15 street reps off a street rep that I just recruited, off the phone, off their teledex. So I could go into a place and people just couldn't believe it. People could not believe it. When I finished being a street rep for that area, some guy asked me, do you want to sell real estate? I said, it's a bit hard, mate. I can't walk. I've just had an operation. I'll be able to walk in about 2 months. He goes, when you can walk, I'll employ you as a real estate salesman. I said, okay. So for 2 months, I collected the list of every private house that had been for sale in Werriwa, in Whitlam Sea. And I'd already recruited a street rep in every street in Werriwa, 1,640 streets. I had a friend in every street. They told me when someone was moving in or out. So now I said to them, a message to my street reps, anyone leaving, anyone got their house for sale, anyone selling up, let me know. And I had all the phone numbers for 2 years previously of everyone that advertised their house privately, and I rang them. And I said to them, I'm a real estate salesman. I'm going to come and inspect your house. And we've had lots of real estate agencies. Yeah, I'm a little bit different. I don't want you to sign anything except a check for your lawyer if you haven't got a contract written, because I won't list a house unless you hold the contract, unless the lawyer holds the contract, because when we get a purchaser, if the contract's not ready, the purchaser can buy somewhere else. So I want a check for $110 made out to your solicitor. So if you haven't got a contract already prepared, I want you to measure your house up for me, because I haven't got time to measure it. I want the photos of your house. If you've ever had it with the ASC listing before and you've got a map of it, I want that. I want a photo of your title deed if you've got it. I want to know if it's mortgaged, and I'll be there at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning to list your house. It took me 30 minutes to list a house. I used to list 5 houses a day, 4 days a week. I had more listings than the rest of the caravan, if you know what a caravan is. Caravans, when all the real estate agents together go and see everybody else's house. I always had more than the rest of Liverpool put together, listings. It's only a matter of applied science. And getting the street reps is a matter of applied science as well, because once you've got the street rep, you can recruit off that street rep even before they deliver. And you've got 1,000 members. 1,000 members means you've got 1,000 wives and spouses, means you've got maybe 2,000 kids. And every one of those members you know and knows another one. You've got all your street reps. You don't really have to deliver the street rep form. They're not the street. You don't have to deliver the how to vote form. Not that. You don't have to deliver the offer to help form. Really, we could do it without that. But we've got to do the offer. You've got to do the offer to help form, because you've got to set the stage for the other people who've got 1,000 members. If they've got 1,000 members. Now, you've got 1,000 members if you've got 1,000 members, because you've got the list of their names. So you guys are really on fire. You've got a real winner here.
Jane,
Do not wait. Do not wait. Do not hesitate.
Jane,
I wanted to say for Tracy that I've listened to your videos before now a number of times, and I've read the written word of pretty much what you've been saying, and it's just now really clicked about initiating that first person. So getting my researcher to find that counsellor that didn't get in, and contacting them, the right person, obviously, and recruiting them, because the idea, Tracy, is that while they're out campaigning for you, they're building rapport with their region again for the next council elections. So that's part of their motivation.
It rolls over. I've done council, state, federal referendum. In the 1999 referendum in Sydney, my area, Low, had the best vote for no republic. And I had the Italian area. I should have got the worst vote. I had the best vote because of the street rep system. It's rolled over because the street rep never leaves you. If they do move out, they appoint someone to replace them. I've never had a street rep leave me that hasn't replaced himself. And to tell me you've got 1,000 members, you've got 800 street reps immediately out of them, immediately. But I want you to do it by phone. I don't want to create any bad wave. And I want you to go to the printer, and I want you to get those 6 ads, people, for the first trial we do. The first trial we could do can simply be those 8 streets. Doesn't really matter. But really, you've got to recruit your street rep as early as possible. You've got to build in them the desire for gratitude for self. The desire for gratitude for self is like a person going to the gym that starts to feel grateful when they finally start turning up, and then they get hooked into it, and then they take their brother there, and they take the one they love there because they want their loved one to live. We've got to take our friends there because we want to live in a free country.